What's up, YouTube? Shawn DaGamer here, and recently I was listening to either Solid Monster or the Breakfast with Blasey podcast with Don Tony, and they brought up the fact that Mick Foley did an interview recently, and the host asked him, why does he think SmackDown is better received than Raw? And in short, his answer was, if SmackDown was 3 hours as well, they would be suffering the same problems as Raw. And I heard that either early this morning or last night, and I took the time to ponder on that. And I was thinking, what really makes Raw so different than SmackDown at this present time? And I don't think it has anything to do with the 3 hours. Hear me out. You watch a basketball game, a regular old basketball game, say like the Hawks are playing the Knicks in a random basketball game through the season. Those things are like 3.5 hours, and they still hold a lot of retention because there's constantly something entertaining going on. Whether somebody gets crossed up, somebody gets dunked on, something like that, you're always looking forward to something else. Or the next thing that's happening in that 3.5 hours, 4 hours, depending on the game. Especially if you're there live, you're going to sit there for like 3.5, 4 hours, unless you leave early to avoid traffic. So now, take that same philosophy. Say like if the NBA was like the WWE and you had the East and the West like they do now. And for some reason, a basketball game on the West Coast ran like 5 hours. And it was just regular old game, same 4 quarters, same everything. No matter, you don't have to even make the basketball game like 5 hours. Just imagine on the East Coast and the West Coast, it was like Raw and SmackDown. On the East Coast, you get SmackDown type stuff where it's just you want to watch the game, you want to play some basketball, you want to watch some basketball, yada yada yada. You're gonna get that and you're gonna be entertained. But on the West Coast, every few minutes there's a general manager talking, the coach is talking, an interview with the players, like not even like during the game, during quarter changes, halftime, timeouts and things like that, just randomly during the game. Just imagine Blake Griffin or somebody goes up for a nice 3-point shot or a dunk or a fancy ass dunk, and then next thing you know, we cut away to the crowd or we cut away to the announcers. Oh my God, look at that dunk, and then we have to look at the dunk on the replay. That's the difference. Is like on Monday Night Raw, there's unnecessary things going on in that 3 hours. Like, did we really need, going back to February, that'd be the 13th of 2017 now, the Raw after the Elimination Chamber, when the New Day came out to just pretty much squash Bo Dallas? Did we really need that? In that time, you could have really had maybe Kofi, any one of the 3 members of the New Day, go in there and put on a pretty decent match with Bo Dallas. But no, you decided to squash him. On the opposite side of things, even if we want to compare a segment that is like that, if you go over to James Ellsworth Carmella, when they were about to call out Dean Ambrose, it served a purpose because that led to Baron Corbin attacking Dean Ambrose, because that was filler, but it carried over from the Elimination Chamber. You see what I'm saying? It's like what Raw does creatively blows my mind in the worst way sometimes. How do you have Roman Reigns in your opening segment technically still go over your tag team champions? How is that like logical, especially in WrestleMania season when you're trying to build everybody to look as strong as they can? Like, if you wanted to squash somebody, why not have like Rusev and Jinder Mahal come out? You know, Rusev is a big name. Jinder Mahal is alongside Rusev now, and Jinder Mahal, you know, it just would have made more sense because neither Rusev or Jinder are champions right now, and they're kind of like lost in the shuffle, unfortunately. It would have made a little bit more sense than having your tag team champions come out there, try to kiss Stephanie's ass, and then get squashed. It'd have been more. It'll have made more sense for somebody that does not have a title, who needs a little bit more elevation, to do that. Am I wrong in thinking that? Is that common sense? Think about what they're doing, or at least they're trying to do, with Dolph, Kalisto, and Apollo Crews. What they're trying to do is make Dolph Ziggler a bigger heel by going over two of the quote-unquote more liked baby faces. And in theory, that makes sense. The only problem is people are invested in Dolph, and nobody really cares too much about Crews or Kalisto right now. But in theory, what they're trying to do is the right thing. Instead of what they're doing with Roman Reigns is just, this is our guy, and I don't care because I'm Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn. We're going to push this guy to the moon. We're going to have him go over anybody we can want. We want him to be strong, even though the crowd doesn't want it. Like, and a lot of people have been posing a question now, if it was still one brand, would people like Alexa Bliss, Naomi, Bray Wyatt, even AJ Styles, to some extent, would they have been champions under the old umbrella before the brand split? And I want to say 3 out of 4 of those, maybe no. And the only one I can see out of that possibly winning the title during a full quote-unquote brand all on one roster quote-unquote is AJ Styles, because AJ Styles is that guy. Bray Wyatt is that guy on SmackDown now, but I don't think he will be given a chance on Raw. And it doesn't have anything to do with time at all. What it has to do with is creative booking. And this is what you hear every podcaster, YouTuber that does wrestling talk about on Raw. It's the creative direction is horrible on Monday Night Raw. No matter what you think, I'm pretty sure it's pretty much the same people on both shows, but their head writers are different. On SmackDown, you have the old guy from NXT and Road Dogg, who have done a great job so far building up new talent on SmackDown. Alexa Bliss, Baron Corbin, Bray Wyatt is back on track. The whole Wyatt family is back on track. But when you ask the question, is it about the time? No. People would enjoy a 3-hour Raw if it was more entertaining in those 3 hours. When your first hour is dead, the second hour is mediocre, and your third hour is take it or leave it, what do you expect? Your creative direction is horrible on Raw, and it has nothing to do with your time. Probably this Sunday, I'm going to look at Raw from probably the past 2-3 weeks, probably from Royal Rumble to now, and see what they're doing, and then try to book a episode of Raw and have it like a Sunday or early Monday video, just to see the differences in creative booking when you actually have somebody who, I don't want to say I'm, a better booker than those people. They all have years and years of experience, but sometimes it just doesn't show. So I just want to see what I can come up with in that one Raw. It'd probably be like a bi-weekly segment, depending on if I feel like they're going to do something stupid, which I feel like they are on this Monday. And see if I can come up with something a little bit more, in theory, on paper, more pleasing than what we actually get on Monday Night Raw. Because, like I said in my Raw rant on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it went up, you have all the tools there for a great 3-hour program. And it's just, they don't do it. You give us short matches and long segments that nobody wants. You have cruiserweights. You have good women. You have everything you need there to build a solid brand that people will want to watch every freaking week. And the stars are there. People are still turning in to see what a Joe's going to do now, what Kevin Owens and Jericho is going to do. How is Charlotte going to stay champion? Things like that. You have interesting storylines. Even with all the part-timers coming in, Triple H, Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker, you have the names there to spread them out evenly across, 3 hours of Monday night. But how is it difficult? If you really wanted to build a card just for a Monday night, it's not that hard with the talent that you have. Even if we want to go off current storyline, if we start off with the cruiserweights, you had this new thing with Tozawa, Kendricks, That could be a decent little feud. You get Tozawa, not 5-minute matches, not no 3-minute matches, not no mixed tag matches. You put Tozawa in there with maybe, I want to say TJ Perkins, but he's so not, you know, but you can put Tozawa in there with any of the cruiserweights. Let them go 10, 15 minutes to open the show. You know, have Brian Kendricks on commentary doing all that. Good way to open the show, right? And then you can lead into like a back, you don't have to be in the ring. You can lead to like a little backstage vignette with Foley and Stephanie, and then maybe somebody walks in, make it a short little segment. Maybe she calls Roman Reigns in there, like yada yada yada, blah blah blah, match. You know what I'm saying? It's not that hard. Then after that, you can go into like a tag team match or a women's match, something like that. You had the debut of Emelina, which we'll talk about later. Even in that situation with Emelina, if you want to debut her and you want her, it was like 17 weeks. 17 weeks we've been getting these promos on Emelina. Like, first of all, most of us are like, what is it, Emelina? Can we get evil Reno 911, Rent-A-Cop Emma back? Because she was great. You know? That match she had with Asuka, and she just can deliver in the ring to go along with a semi-busted women's roster. I say that because Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte, Nia Jax, Alicia Fox, Emma, Dana Brooke, 7. So why that can be like 2 good matches on Raw every week. Just give them time. You don't give your matches on Raw time. That's one problem. You want to focus on all the vocals and all the promos and things like that, which is not what you need to be focusing on, especially going into WrestleMania season. You need to be worried about getting these people over in the ring, because at least one thing they've been doing really, really well with these pay-per-views is cutting out the filler, other than that whole James Ellsworth thing on Sunday, cutting out the filler and having these long matches. Now, imagine if we got decent length matches on Raw to help build these stars up, and they can still hold back some of their special moves and things like that, and go, and then you transition that into a pay-per-view. You can get these great Raw pay-per-views and these great Raws, but for some reason in the back, behind the scenes, these people just don't get it. How hard is it to book Sami Zayn versus Jericho and make that a great feud? It's not that hard. How hard is it to build your tag teams on Raw, even if you don't have that many? You have names in that division, whether it's the Club, Cesaro and Sheamus, Enzo and Cass. I think the list stops there. But you see what I'm saying? It's not that hard. Eventually the Revival is going to come up. Poor TM61. But you have the tools there. Like, even if you don't have a solid tag team division, you can still work with what you got and make those teams stronger. Why is your focus when it comes to the tag teams? Oh, you got the New Day too. I forgot about them. The New Day, who lost the titles, acting so jovial now. They broke the record, lost the titles. They had their little rematch. They didn't win. And now it's like, okay, they don't care about the tag titles no more. They're more concerned about doing this and doing that and doing this, making fun of people now. Why? I get that's part of their shtick, but can't they do that in the storyline against somebody? They're since they're both Enzo and Cass and New Day are kind of like floating around right now. Why not put them in the feud, and the winner goes on to WrestleMania to face the Club? Is that hard? But instead, what they're going to do is they're going to keep pushing Enzo and Cass. Keep pushing Enzo and Cass in these stupid segments that don't make any sense. And the Enzo and Cass stick is freaking old as fudge now. It's like, nobody, how you doing? Jokes about the city that they're in. A few puns about the person they're about to go in the ring with. And misspelling of the word soft. Okay, we get it. But Enzo, at this point, is a certified jobber. I don't remember last time Enzo won a match by himself on Raw, or period. Kaz is still wet behind the ears. He needs a few more moves in his arsenal. I don't care if he's a big man or not. He still needs a few. Baron Corbin and him are about the same size. I don't want to hear it. Baron Corbin is amazing. Kaz can be there too. And the thing is, you can tell that they want Cass sometime in the near future, whether it's a year from now. Knowing WWE, how they fast track shit, it could be 6 months from now. Cass, Big Cass is going to be a single star. And what are they going to do with Enzo? Is Enzo just going to be like his Jimmy Hart or something like that? I don't know. But when you have so much potential on one roster, whether you want to say it's a split, the split helps. Look at what the split has done with SmackDown. We have a bunch of new stars now. So when eventually this whole thing crumbles, hopefully not anytime soon, you will see newer stars, you know, in that main event scene when it's one brand again. When it's on top, it's going to be AJ, Bray, probably even Corbin, Luke, Miz, and Dolph. Those are 6 names that have been revitalized on SmackDown thanks to this brand split. AJ Styles is not one of those, but you see what I'm saying? Like, these people have become bigger stars since the brand split. And look at how they're using some of their... They only have 1 real part-time star on SmackDown. 2 if you count The Undertaker, because I go wherever I want. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways. John Cena, even though he did in the reign of AJ Styles, he helped elevate AJ Styles with the 3 previous matches before that. Their 2 singles matches and the triple threat with Dean Ambrose. That helped elevate Dean Ambrose too. So what I don't understand is, why can't Raw do the same thing? Why can't Raw copy paste and then fill in the blanks with Raw superstars? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many of us would actually complain if they gave us actually maybe 2 good 25 to 30 minute matches on Raw every week, whether it's from the cruiserweights, a tag team, or males singles? I don't think anybody would complain about that, especially if they're good matches that lead to something. If there's one thing I can say about SmackDown, if we look at their women's division, how did we go from all the big names being on Raw when it comes to the women's division? Charlotte, Nia Jax, even though she came up a little bit later, I believe. No, she came up during the brand split. Basically, everybody was like, you have to split up Sasha and Charlotte and then put Bayley on the respective brand depending on how they need her when she's getting called up. But no, they went and put those 2 on Raw to make them be the focus on Raw, to do their whole women's history type mess with that whole debacle, which was still done horribly. People have said it. I have said it. Flopping the title back and forth from pay-per-view to Raw, pay-per-view to Raw, pay-per-view to Raw, pay-per-view to Raw is not how you build the champion. Oh my God, it just shows how good they are and they can't beat each other. No, that just means one is slightly better than the other at this point. They're even playing field. And if this would have continued down the line, if they didn't do like, this is the last match, who knows how many times that title would have still been flopping back and forth. And now they're about to do the same thing with Bayley, unless they do something smart and have a triple threat match at Fastlane for the title. And if you want Bayley to retain going into WrestleMania, do not pin Charlotte. You pin whoever that third, even if we go do a fatal 4-way match at Fastlane, even though that's the rumored match for WrestleMania, just skip that. Put that aside. Nobody really wants to see a fatal 4-way women's match at WrestleMania, even if it is between 4 of the best women they have right now. A lot of people would, at least at this point, prefer more singles matches that tell good stories. And you lost that opportunity at WrestleMania, even if you did want to do the triple threat match at WrestleMania between Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte. There's better ways to get there than what you have freaking done. And I don't understand what they're doing in the back during Monday Night Raws, during the weeks leading up to these Raws. I know TV is not easy to write, especially week by week. But when you're a week by week program and you already have continuing storylines, doesn't that make things a little bit easier? I don't want to hear that. It's not like at this point we're almost half a year, a little over half a year into the brand split. You've had the women's championship change hands like 5 or 6 times. Your universal champion has been pretty much relegated to the mid card. And the person that you want over as a face, nobody likes. So there's simple fixes to these little things. One, turn Roman Reigns. He doesn't even have to be heel. Let Roman Reigns does what John Cena do now. Just, I don't care about the fans. I mean, I care, but I understand they're here to do what they want to do, and I'm here to do what I need to do. First of all, let's keep Roman away from the mic. How about that? First thing, let's injure Roman. You know, kayfabe injury. Let's injure Roman. Get him off TV. Because remember, when he tore his groin a couple of years ago at this point, when he came back, people were happy to see Roman Reigns back. Then all of a sudden, he started getting shoved down our throat again. And again. And again. And again. Why? Stop force feeding us things that we don't want. And it's not like the crowd is quiet about it. They're vocal. We don't want Roman Reigns. It doesn't matter. There was a thank you Strowman chant when he saved the Universal Championship at I'm doing my my flamingo snaps. What's the name of that paper? Royal Rumble. At the Royal, I was doing so good up to that point. But yeah, he was getting thank you Strowman chants for beating up Roman Reigns, and then when the heel, quote unquote, goes in and attacks the next night Roman Reigns during his little bout with Kevin Owens or whatever, you think you know me? It just doesn't make any sense to me. 1 second. Now, I have no idea what I was talking about before I left out, so I had to answer a phone call. But in conclusion, there's no reason why Raw should be bad, especially when you look at the list of talents that they have. You have 2 injured that are pretty much ready to come back any day now, in Seth and Finn. Then you have Joe. Did I say Seth? Okay, that's right. I'm about to say Seth and Finn. That's the same person. No, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor. Then you have people like Triple H, Samoa Joe, all those people that I keep constantly naming. How can you have a bad product when you have great talent? Which is, that's the biggest thing that I and most of us really wonder. How, with the roster that you have across all 3 shows, NXT, which is still, you know, in its rebuilding phases because of all the lynching and the poaching and stuff, SmackDown, which is the A show no matter what you want to think, and then you have Raw, which is where careers go to die in the WWE, which is what I've been saying for like the past couple of months now. If you want your career to end on some type of, oh, I was at least in the WWE, go to Raw. Go at this current time, go to Raw, and then you can be like, I was on Raw, and you can be like, oh, okay, we'll put a few extra dollars on your indie check. That's all it is. That is all that is. Like, Raw is like career suicide at this moment. The talent that they have are just like not even being utilized the way they should be utilized. When you have a Bayley who was just a crowd loving magnet, how do you kind of ruin that? Like, she has not had the same magic ever since she came up from NXT, and I don't know, was putting her on the back burner while they were doing the Sasha and Charlotte feud. I'm just start saying Banks Flair because that really can get you confused. Sasha, Charlotte, a little bit. So during the Banks Flair feud, she had to sit on the back burner along with the other women on the roster, and it's just like, why are you doing that? You can have all these women intertwined fighting for this title and building more storylines. Like, think about how much better that pretty, gorgeous Raw women's title could be. How much better it could be perceived right now instead of having Sasha, Charlotte for like nearly 4 or 5 months with real no in between gaps. That really hurt the women's title, in my opinion. I don't care. Like I said, it doesn't matter. Oh, you have 2 great women fighting over the belt. Okay, why can't one of those women be more dominant than the other and the other one still look strong in defeat? Because all they're doing is making both of these women, hopefully not all three, including Bayley, look like crybabies. They look like crybabies every time they lose the title. Charlotte, the first couple times she lost the title, she was boo-hooing. Sasha boo-hoos every time she wins the title, like it's the first thing she's ever done. Like, I want a title in my hometown. I want a title in Charlotte's hometown. I want a title, I don't know, in some random match, in some random place, in some random stipulation match. It's like, what? Okay. And then Charlotte looks a little bit more credible because she wins on pay-per-view. She wins when it matters, but she loses on Raw. That's not how you build a champion. I don't care what you say. That's not how you build a champion. If the NBA title was like the WWE Championship, do you think, alrighty, do you think that it will make, let's go back to the Cavs versus the Warriors. I think that's the Warriors. Whatever team Steph Curry plays for at the moment. I think it's the Warriors. It's not Golden State. I know it's either the Warriors or I know this. It's not the go. Whatever. Imagine if LeBron's team and Steph's team kept trading that NBA championship back and forth throughout the NBA finals until LeBron and his team finally won. You know, the Cavs finally won. Do you think that people are going to be looking at LeBron's team like the most dominant team in the NBA? No. They're going to be looking like, okay, if LeBron accidentally gets ripped or misses a couple of shots, there's a chance for the other team. You see what I'm saying here? Like, it's a situation now where they're not the Utah Jazz no more. With the Pelicans, what if the Pelicans just randomly one day, if the NBA title was treated like the WWE Championship, randomly was like, hey, we want a shot, and then LeBron and all his cockiness, like Sasha did, was like, okay, whatever, and then the Pelicans win. What? That's how I really feel with Bayley right now. It's like this win was out of nowhere. It shouldn't have happened yet, and it can carry on to most of these storylines on Raw. It's like, I don't get it. Let's go back to the best of 7 with Sheamus and Cesaro for a little bit. That match, that little series, nobody cared. But through the magic of in-ring storytelling, by match 7, everybody was like, let them fight. You know, let them keep doing this. And then, for some reason, somebody had the bright idea in the back to make them I'm not even being sarcastic when I say that. Somebody has the bright idea to put them in the back as a tag team. Okay, we see that you guys have a lot of bent up anger towards each other, but what if we put you guys together and let you take out that frustration on other people? Mind blown. That shit makes sense. And then, what do you have them do? While they're hot, while they're on fire, the same thing you do with the club when they're hot and on fire, you drop them out. That's right, you dropped them out. I mean, yeah, eventually after they broke the record, they won the title. But then, whatever happened to that? And can we not even talk about the United States title real quick? Real quick. Rusev had it. Who had it before Rusev? Kalisto? What? Kalisto, Rusev, Reigns. Now Jericho. When you look at that, even if you add Kalisto, what the story going into Kalisto United States title run was, he's the little guy, the underdog, yada yada yada, fighting all these big guys, winning somehow. Then you move over to Rusev, the big guy that Kalisto can't stop. You know, Rusev wins the title off Kalisto, and then you have Rusev with a very good run until Roman Reigns came in and stopped that. And then ever since Reigns had the title, he maybe defended it like maybe 3 or 4 times, twice against Rusev, a couple of times against Jericho, until he finally lost it to Jericho. And Jericho had his rematch. Did Jericho even have his rematch with Reigns for the United States title? And Sami Zayn. I know he hasn't had the title that long, but establish a new contender for the damn title. You know what I'm saying? You have all these talent on the undercard waiting for an opportunity, like Sheamus, like Rusev, like who else is on that damn brand that they can start elevating? Strowman, Zayn. Did I say Zayn already? But you know what I'm saying? There's at least 4 or 5 guys on the Raw brand you can use to like have little mini feuds to help build at least some type of credibility for the titles. And that's what SmackDown's doing with the Intercontinental title. There hasn't been a lackadaisical period of where's the champions, except for maybe the Alphas over the past couple of weeks. Even they acknowledge that, like, hey, we've been champions for almost a month now. We haven't really defended our titles. That's a problem. They addressed that on national TV. So I don't get it. I don't get how, when you look at SmackDown and you look at Raw, you can say the only big difference is 3 hours. When people tune in to 4-hour pay-per-views, 5, 6, 7-hour pay-per-views, and I myself can sit down and watch the pre-show, the post-show, and whatever little special, like if they have like Talking Smack, or they had that around the table, or they had Raw Talk or something like that. I will watch those segments because I do it for SmackDown. I do it for SmackDown instantly. I don't watch SmackDown without watching Talking Smack. You know what I'm saying? Because those two things are very entertaining for the time that they're allowed it. And I believe if you gave SmackDown an extra hour, they would still be better than Raw. Plain and simple. I took 30-some minutes to just say, even if you gave an extra hour to SmackDown, it'll still be better. At this point, I believe even if you brought Raw back to 2:05, no hashtag live, you brought back Raw to 2 hours and 5 minutes with a little bit of overrun, it'll still be the same problem because of the creative direction that they're going on Raw. It's not the fact that they have that extra hour of time to fill. It's the fact they don't even know how to fill the time that they have. You know what I'm saying? It'd be different if, like, the first hour was good, the second hour was okay, and then the third hour was, you know, got a little tired, you know, yada, yada, yada. But when your first hour is blah, your second hour is and your third hour is, oh, what do you expect the fans to do? You have these cruiserweights. Like, you have great cruiserweights there. Tozawa, Kendricks, Perkins, Swan, Gallagher, who else is on that damn roster that is there? Ali, Davari, Nice, Gulak. I feel like I'm missing some people. Tajiri, even Austin Aries, Neville. That's 12. That's 12 names right there. And you're telling me Raw doesn't have the talent to fill 3 hours and make it entertaining? Am I jaded at this point? Like, I always say this. I try to bring it up as much as possible. I grew up knowing it was predetermined outcomes. So I didn't watch them. Now I'm watching now to see how they get there. And it's not entertaining. Fix it. Fix it. Not that hard. You have the talent there. You can have these little mini feuds to build into something bigger. And then you have a nice payoff at a pay-per-view. There's no reason in hell that in your mind, because the ratings are bad because of your bad writing, that you think it's okay to take the belt off of Kevin Owens. Especially now that you wanted to rush this breakup between Jericho. It doesn't make any sense to me, because people were like, when it comes to like crowd reaction, people are 50-50 on Kevin Owens. Like, if you know Kevin Owens, if you know Kevin Steen, you love him. And you just want to see more of that Kevin Steen come out like he did in NXT and before the brand split, when he came up on Raw defeating John Cena. We want to see that Kevin Owens, and that's the Kevin Owens you're going to give us. But you're giving us that right before you're planning on putting the belt on Goldberg? With all that being said, please leave your thoughts and comments down below if you made it this far in the video. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm crazy in thinking like it doesn't matter how long the show is, as long as it's good and you can give me content that will keep me entertained through those hours? It's like watching a bad movie every Monday night. and it's like one of those bad movies that you know is bad, but you watch because you want to laugh at certain stuff. It's one of those type of movies where SmackDown is an enjoyable, good matinee every week. You know what I'm saying? Something you can just plop down, pay $5, and enjoy yourself. If I pay $5 for Raw every week, I wouldn't pay $5 for Raw every week. Just saying. It's just, it's just bad. It's just bad. Comment down below your thoughts on Monday Night Raw, and what do you think will help Raw at this point? Just leave that down below in the comment section. Also down below is a description that has all my stuff in it. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. Everything else in between is linked down there as well, so go check that stuff out, especially my Twitter and my Instagrams. That is where I'm most active. More likely Instagram, just because it's just pictures and me playing Dokkan Battle and things like that. Instagram is that. Twitter is more of, you know, live chats during these events, like during Raw, during SmackDown, NXT, pay-per-views, sometimes during Dragon Ball Super. Just when there's something good and something that needs to be talked about live, I'll try to live tweet it. So check that out. Check that out. Shawn DaGamer on there. Shawn_DaGamer on Twitter. Everything's pretty much Shawn DaGamer. Just Google it. Google Shawn DaGamer. You'll find me. So share the video with your friends so they get on the discussion as well. And subscribe if you are new here. Please hit the little notification bell once you do to be notified every time a new video goes up live. With all that being said, I am Shawn DaGamer, and I am out of here.